今天就讲了那个，到了这个
Well,
阿地林。阿地
we
林这边的话呢，
have already reached to the
昨
part
天
where
说是他
Khandro
在一
Rinpoche
个森
arrived
林
at
当中啊，
Atiling.
就给大家看一下
Yesterday,
两
as
张
I
照
said
片。
that the center is situated in a forest. I'll show you two
阿地
photos.
林
The
是当
first
时
one
说是就是几乎把这个道
is
场
a
呢，就
photo
是
of
被毛
Atiling
米的这个森林就是淹没在里面。
embraced
这个是
by the forest.
有一张，就是还有一张的话呢，
You can see that
这是
photo.
当时那些
And
高
then
大
the
的树
next
吧，其实
one
这些也
is
并不是像那个原始松树一样的，
the
但是相
trees
对而
over
言，当
here.
时在哪里呢？就是
The
比较
trees
高
are
大的
not
这个
like
树，就是这个树呢，就
ancient
是
trees or anything like that.
就
Rather,
一
they're
直
very tall.
在那个嘛，就是在当中，不知道看得到吗？对，就是那个是，对，这个是应该是它的这个树是也不算特别高吧，就是在这个树林当
And
中。
then the trees,
然后这个
the
再下一
forest
个阿地
over
林
here.
的话呢，在上面的一个，
Then the next
其实
photo
这个
you
是
can
当时的
see
这个道场的一个，他们的我法往下面住的地方是这里。其实阿地林
you
现在
can
在
see
这
the
个地
place
方，就是
where
这里
Khandro
面的话呢，
Rinpoche
就
resided
我们都
over
看
there.
不到
And
吧，
then the
就是
next
就看
one
不到道
is
场。其实它的小的道场还有，
next one you
就是
can't
说
really
是
see
只
the
不过那
center.
个
Apparently, the
它
center
那
is
个当
still
时法
there,
往住的这个呢，就
except
已经
that
没有了，
the
就是已经卖给别人
places
了。
the
还有一
residence
个就
Khandro
是当
Rinpoche
时
lived
他们
in
这道场修的有
is
个
no
莲花生大
longer
师，这个莲花生大
part
师的
of
话呢，
the
就是
center.
现在还有，
And
就
this one
是
is
因
a
为
statue of
在加州
Padmasambhava.
那边的话呢，
It
就
is
是
still
吸这
there
个神念
because
佛
in
比较
California,
厉害嘛，就修了这
which
个
is a
念世的
place
像，
that
就是
tend
这
to
个
have
之后
lots
的
of
话呢，就是在当地呢
wildfires.
就是没有发生作
So
战，就是所以他们
Padmasambhava
就是
statue
很喜欢
was
就是这
constructed
个
over there.
就
And
是这
then
个什么
because
念世啊，
of
就是
this
然后
statue,
这个
no
是
wildfire
前
ever
面就是
happened
稍微给
around
大
that
家
region.
讲
That
一
is
下，
why
就是
locals
接下来我
also
们就
really
讲这
appreciate
个
this
现在
statue.
在这个
So
拉帕
that's
谷啊，
my
就是拉帕谷开
introduction
始
to
传法了啊，就
Atiling.
是
And
法
now
王
let's
在这
look
里
at
传
the
法，所以这
teachings
些
Khandro
每
Rinpoche
一天的
give
课都是要
at
收费用的
Napa
啊，
Valley
就
or
是
in Napa
大
Valley.
家也要
Each
这
of
个
those
就
teachings
而且
given
我们
by
现在这个
Rinpoche
法本的话呢，
were
也
at
是像英文
were
的这个
priced
书呢，
to charge a ticket
是
would be
大概
charged for people who wanted to
140
attend.
美金啊。韩
Also,
文的
the
这个上面呢，这个
books
是
are
精
now
装，就
available.
韩文
The
的这个呢，
English book is
1400，就是1400，应该是人民币吧。
$140,
1400
and
元，
the
就是说你
Chinese
书
version
里的
is
拉制的这个书
1,400
的话呢，也是比较
RMB.
珍贵的，
When
就
you're
是
holding
就是
this book,
课
it's
就是要花
really
多少
quite
钱，
expensive,
然
very
后
precious.
书呢就是要花多少钱，就是1400的话呢，
When you
生活
think
费好
about
几个月的
to
生活费，
attend these
不过现在好像也
teachings,
可以吧。
how much you
然后
have to
那
spend
个
for the books and how
1400
much you
元
have
的
to
这
spend
个
for attending this teaching
1400
and so
元的这
on.
种人民币，
1,400
就
is
然后那个英文的话
is
也是一样的，
the
就是着落，所以我
monthly
想
allowance
大
for
家就是
is
这个也
a
不
few
用
month
课呢，
worth
就也
of
不用
monthly
交钱，
allowance
然
that you
后
can get over
书呢
here.
也免费的给，有些可能道
But
友现
now
在
you
没有
can
的话，
attend
过一
these
段时间
classes and
我们
receive
想
these
办法
precious
就
Dharma
是
teachings
现在如
without
果
paying
听的有
anything.
些
They're
人不
free
太
at
多的话，那
charge.
就是我
You
那边
don't
就是
even
还
have to
有
pay for the
还有
books
这个有一些
over
吧，就
here.
是倒是把
So
这
some
个
of
先给
our
他们，
fellow
我现
Dharma
在这也没有
Sangha
没
over
有用的，
here
就是先就是已经有那个的话，那明后天想个办法，就是已经到里面的这些人呢，反正
if you
有个这个
don't
书
have
可
the
能好
books
一点，
yet, I
就是
still
就
have some
我
I
上次
still
是
have
卖的
some
是吧？就是这次是给的话
over
有点
here.
不平均，但是买也可以，
And
给
then
也
you
可以，
can
反
get
正
it
没什么的，
tomorrow.
就是都可以。
Well,
你们
if I
看
were
吧，
to
就是
give it to you, because I think in the
反
past
正我
few
们是
times
那
people
个
actually paid
主
for the
位
cost
呢，就
price.
是利益的，不是那个
So
的，
I'm
就
not
是包
sure
括这个每个法
what
会
would
期
be the
间的话
best.
呢，我也希望我
Anyhow,
们的
whatever
这
would be
个
the
住
best
处
for
啊、
you
餐
would
饮
be the
呢，不要
easiest.
就是
It
就
is
是
not
这
to
个提
gain
升
any
价格
profit
啊，
at
就是现在
all.
其他地方的话呢，像康定就
During
是
the
每次
Dharma
高考的时候
assembly
呢，
period
所有
of
的房
time,
间
I
就是
really
特
hope
别就
all
是
of
价格特别
the
高，像那个
hotels,
比较热的地方，
restaurants
就是夏天就是
do
冬
not
天的时候呢，就
elevate
是
your
价格特别
pricing.
高的，就是
during certain places, whenever it is a tourist season, the owners usually would elevate their pricing. But during the time where we have more people to come to Larangar to attend Dharma assemblies and so on, as Buddhists, we should not try to earn money from them. Rather, it is the time to provide service. There are people who have faith but no money, and there are people without faith but with money. There are different kinds of people. So I hope some of the Dharma Sangha, some of the Sangha who actually come here, if you have difficulties, I think it would be the best for us to provide service to them, to provide a place for them to stay, and do not elevate the pricing just because there are more people in less rooms. I think it is the best to provide some convenience. Of course, if we were to provide everything for free, then people would not cherish those opportunities anymore. So we should find a balance and try our best to provide place for people to stay and all kinds of convenience for them. On July the 9th, Phuntsogren Rinpoche would give teachings and empowerments to people. And throughout this period of time when Phuntsogren Rinpoche was residing at Napa Valley, he gave teachings at Lincoln Theater. The theater is really close. It's about only over 10 minutes or so. Whenever you have the opportunity, I really encourage you to go as well. I went to San Francisco and Los Angeles as well as Seattle. I went to Stanford, Berkeley University, also the Google Center at Seattle. I really wanted to go, but because of my very dense itinerary at that time, I couldn't go back to the Lincoln Center anymore. But it's really not too far. The teaching event was jointly organized by Chadu Gompa and the Pacific Region Yeshin Ningpo. Lincoln Center is a very international center where you can see different kinds of flags at the front door. It is considered as an international conference center. You can see the different flags at the front gate. But now when we look at those photos, it seems to be rather quite weather-beaten, but it's been 30 years since my last visit. The majority of the audience consisted of Buddhists who had faith in Nyingma lineage and had been practicing sacred mantra for many years. Most of these practitioners came from the entire length of the west coast of the U.S. and as far as Hawaii and Rocky Mountains. The theater that could seat over 1,000 people was completely full, and people of many different nationalities and skin colors warmly welcomed Jigme Phuntsogren Rinpoche. People were quite happy. You can see that from the video as well. The video will be distributed to the different classes, and you can look at it. A little while ago, many of you had already seen this video, and the people were quite touched by it. The translator for this series of empowerments and teachings was a translator and a practitioner named Choki Nima, Richard Barron. His Lama is Chadu Rinpoche. Phuntsogren Rinpoche therefore joked about them, saying that the Lama Chadu Rinpoche has white beard, his disciple Choki Nima has yellow beard, and the son of Chadu Rinpoche has black beard. On the afternoon of July the 9th, Choji gave the empowerment of Tendro Niso, a terma reviewed by Tertong Sogya. This terma contains three kinds of practices: elaborate, intermediate, and brief. This time, Rinpoche gave the empowerment for the intermediate practice. And the differences between the three will be explained later in this book. And then Phuntsok Rinpoche gave the first lecture on Jetsun Nyingthig on the morning of July 10th, and Choji gave the empowerment of Jetsun Nyingthig based on Jamgon Khandro Lodro Taiye's commentary entitled The Perfect Sacred Bindu, the most essential instruction manual of the Great Jetsun, profound essence of Vimalamitra that distills the essence of Upadesha class of Mahasandhi. The Jetsun Nyingthig empowerment was over 2 hours. Later, let's see if we will have an opportunity to receive this empowerment, maybe not this year. Let's look at how things will turn out in the future. But for those of you who have already received the Maha'ati, then I think it would be the best for you to receive this empowerment as well. But I think for those of you who received the Ati empowerment, I think you can still receive this teaching. In the afternoon, he began teaching the Jetsun Nyingthig Dharma reviewed by Jayang Khyentse Wangpo. The teaching was given in 4 lectures, and this was the first one. And then Phuntsok Rinpoche recited a verse from Jetsun Nyingthig. This is the verse that we chanted very often at Mount Wutai, because at Mount Wutai there is Vimalamitra as well as Manjushri. So this is one of the verses that these 2 verses, including the one for Manjushri and this one for Vimalamitra, as well as the last verse of entering the way of a bodhisattva. So back at the time when we went to Mount Wutai, these 3 verses are the ones that we chanted. This is the first class. Having perfected the 4 visions of clear light, your awareness arose as the unchanging 5 kayas, pure from the great transference, rainbow kaya or deathless Vimalamitra. Look upon me with loving kindness and compassion, and immediately bestow blessings of direct realization. This is the verse that Phuntsok Rinpoche recited at the time. After reciting this, and then he continued to say that our root teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, who is endowed with great compassion, loving kindness, and skillful means, gave rise to Supreme Bodhicitta many aeons ago. Then, over 3 countless aeons, he diligently engaged in the accumulation of merit and finally manifested the attainment of Buddhahood in Bodh Gaya, India. After attaining Buddhahood, in order to benefit ordinary and extraordinary beings, both of whom were to be tamed by the teachings of common vehicle, the Buddha turned the first wheel of Dharma on the Four Noble Truths at Deer Park to the 5 human bhikshus and 80,000 celestial beings. Later, at the Vulture Peak, he turned the wheel of Dharma for the second time on the absence of characteristics in order to benefit all sentient beings to be tamed through the Mahayana path. By teaching the extensive, middling, and concise Prajnaparamita Sutras, the Buddha established the view that all phenomena, from material forms to the Buddha's omniscient wisdom, are empty in nature. Then, for extraordinary sentient beings who follow the Mahayana path, the Buddha turned the 3rd wheel of Dharma on fully distinguishing the essence beyond the trace of doubt at Vaishali and various other locations. After Afterwards, for those with the sharpest capacity, the Buddha gave the Vajrayana teachings of a sacred mantra in a secret and brief manner. The Vajrayana teachings are taught by the Buddha in the last turning of the Dharma wheel of the Buddha. So this is the third turning of the Dharma wheel. And then the Buddha gave the secret mantra teachings in a secret and brief manner. For example, he taught the Gyurasamaja Tantra. There used to be a Chinese translation of Gyurasamaja Tantra, but the translation was not done in the perspective of view of a Tantra, so it's not really used, but the translation, well, it's rather very difficult, so the translation would be difficult. The Chinese translation was translated back in Song Dynasty, and some of the wording as well as the translator probably were influenced by the atmosphere back then, so the translation wasn't from that proper perspective, which is also known as the King of Tantras. In Udayana, the Kalachakra Tantra at the Great Stupa of Danyakataka in southern India and so forth. In brief, in different places where celestial beings, Nagas, Yakshas, and Gandharvas, Garudas dwell, the Buddha taught the Vajrayana teaching of sacred mantra to benefit those who are of extraordinary faculties. Upon passing into Parinirvana, the Buddha prophesied 8 years after my passing in Dhanakosha Lake in the northwestern part of Udayana, a great being even greater than me, Padmasambhava, will appear in this world. Also, Vajradhara, one of the 12 founding teachers of Dzogchen, conferring many tantras, including the reverberation of sound tantra at the time when the human lifespan was of infinite years. This tantra contains a prophecy saying that during the age of strife, when the 5 kinds of degeneration become rampant, Garab Dorje, Jampa Shengen, Sri Simha, Jnana Sutra, and others will reveal the most profound and supreme Dharma teaching, the great perfection. To be specific, the Tantra mentions the daughter of Dhanakosha, her son, Pramodavajra, of no father. Because Garab Dorje doesn't have a father, because Garab Dorje is a manifested body. This prophesies the appearance of Garab Dorje. Then Manjushri Mitra, which is the prophecy of the Jampa Shin, patron Sri Simha, predicts Sri Simha, and Jnana Sutra foretells Jnana Sutra. In addition, Padmasambhava and Vima Mitra would become the 2 great masters to spread the clear light teaching of Dzogchen in the dark land of Tibet. These are all included in the related tantras. Vimala Mitra's system of teaching follows the 17 tantras of the quintessential sacred heart essence cycle. The 17 tantras of Nyingma, and within his tradition, there are the 4 volumes of profound scriptures. These volumes of texts are summarized into 119 essential piece instructions. This is the cycle of Vima Nyingthig, which is also known as the Old Nyingthig or Common Nyingthig. On the other hand, based on the tantras such as Blazing Clear, Expanse Tantra, and the 6 essential tantras that grant liberation through wearing. Padmasambhava transmitted his own complete heart essence cycle of Khandro Yishi Tsogyo within 7 years at the sacred site of the Joto Tidro cave, as if giving a most precious jewel. These teachings are collectively called the Pema Nyingthig, also known as the New Nyingthig or Dharma Nyingthig. Some have said that all teachings of Dharma Nyingthig have a long duration in this world, and the blessings are not so swift, while Dharma Nyingthig's blessings have shorter duration, but it become much quicker. Well, Annie NBC, who was the one who worked at White House, sent me a message saying that the book is really precious and contains a great amount of knowledge and message. So we can see that when you look at this, English version of the book, there are lots of, when you even look at the index and look at the glossary, there are lots of information within. So the old Nyingthig or Karma Nyingthig, based on tantras such as Blazing Clear Expanse Tantra and the 6 essential tantras and grant liberation through wearing, Padmasambhava then transmitted his own complete heart essence cycle to Khandro Yeshi Tsogyo within 7 years at the sacred site of Joto Tidro cave, as if giving the most precious jewel. And this teaching is Pema Nyingthig, also known as the New Nyingthig or Dharma Nyingthig. So it is said that all teachings of Karma Nyingthig or the old Nyingthig has a long duration in this world, but their blessings are not as swift, while the Dharma Nyingthig's blessings have a shorter duration but come much quicker. Both Karma Nyingthig transmitted by Vima and the Dharma Nyingthig transmitted by Padmasambhava are known as the Mother Heart Essence. During the Nyingthig Yapshi transmission, I did give a brief instruction or brief introduction of the 4 Nyingtigs, but Phuntsok Rinpoche over here did not prepare anything, rather just this information just flow out of his wisdom. Not only during my introduction of the Nyingthig Yapshi in class, I think there was a written version of it in the Always Remember as well in that text. You can look into it. To explain the hidden meaning of these 2 Mother Heart Essence texts, Omniscient Longchenpa composed the Lama Nyingthig and Khandro Nyingthig. To fully explain the essential point of Vima Nyingthig, he composed the Lama Nyingthig, which is subdivided into 51 sections of teachings. To elucidate the essential points of the sacred meaning of Khandro Nyingthig, he composed the Khandro Nyingthig. Because of this, Lama Nyingthig and Khandro Nyingthig are known as the air heart essence texts. The 2 Mother Heart Essence text and 2 Air Heart Essence texts constitute the very famous Nyingthig Yapshi, the 4 sections of the Heart Essence. Additionally, the Omniscient Master Longchenpa also compiled most of the profound sacred instructions of the Heart Essence lineage into the text called Zamo Nyingthig. I think there was a time Toko Longtok also bestowed the empowerment of Zamo Nyingthig and the instructions as well. Not sure if all of you had received it. Anyhow, in the last few years, the majority of you had already received the Nyingthig Yapshi, which is really important because this is the most essential of the Nyingma teachings. So at the very beginning of the teaching, Phuntsok Rinpoche gave the introduction of the Nyingthig Yapshi, which is really quite essential. Let's stop here today.